What's up, Internet? My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clarouche.
We are going to quickly tell you, should you watch The Adam Project? No spoilers to start, and then we might get into some spoilers
we'll let
right
you know.
at the end.
Yeah.
Right at the end. If you haven't seen it yet, don't worry. We get Nerdy Nightly.
And we thought we'd share it with you.
That is right. Clarouche, should they watch The Adam Project?
Yeah. I enjoyed it. More than I think that I was expecting to.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it went straight to Netflix. It's kind of like it's just like a thing that they're putting out, and it was a good time. I really like Ryan Reynolds' style.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the kid actor, it was fantastic.
And Sean Levy, the director, teams up with Ryan Reynolds again after teaming up with him for last year's Free Guy, which he also directed. And the two of them,
Gotcha.
they're a combination that just seems to be working for people. I think that this movie's a lot of fun. It's kind of like Ender's Game meets like The Last Starfighter.
The Last Starfighter?
Yeah, The Last Starfighter is a movie where basically the past sends a video game, or the future sends a video game to the past to find someone who can play the video game really well to bring them to the future to fight in the future because they're really good at the Starfighter.
The video game? Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It's like one of those classic movies that I grew up on that I just loved. And I think that if you grew up on a lot of those like kind of 80s sci-fi movies that my dad kept putting me in front of, I think that you're going to see a lot in this movie that you're like, oh my God, this is reminding me so much of my childhood.
Yeah.
And I think that with it is a lot like those 80s films. It has a lot of updates in terms of visuals.
Looks
I think
great, yeah.
the cast is stacked.
Yep.
And the cast all kind of rocks it.
Yeah.
The one person who has a little bit of an unfortunate, what's it called? Adam Project? I want to make sure I get her name right.
Yeah, what are we doing right now? Are you talking about
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Do I?
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Catherine Keener plays the villain, Maya Sorian. There is a element of this movie that involves de-aging technology on her face. It doesn't. It's not Star Wars quality.
No, it's not great. Like the other visuals, I have to say, pretty fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, it was just on our TV, so it wasn't like we were seeing it on a big screen, but they look great from home.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one thing that did not look great was the de-aging. That was
It's one of those technologies that it is not quite at the place where if you don't have a Star Wars budget, you can pull it off. And I think that it's going to get there. And I think that I like seeing movies like this kind of like lean into it. And I think that Catherine Keener's performance in this is super fun. I think she's doing a good job with the kind of villainous role that she's portraying. And that's not a spoiler. It's not a twist that she's a villain. She's a villain.
She's there right away to try and stop Adam from whatever Adam is trying to do.
Yeah, and you know, this isn't the most complicated movie in the world. If you're looking for something that has some depth, has some mystery to it, this is not the film. Everything is pretty much laid out on Front Street from the very beginning. But the strength of the movie is that there is this emotional heart in terms of a father-son, older brother, younger brother kind of dynamic that is built up amongst the main men of this movie. And how all of those men relate to Jennifer Garner as the mom of the family. And this family dynamic that kind of centers all of the time travel shenanigans of the film in a way that it just comes in at a really enjoyable hour 47 minutes. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It has a really great message. And, you know, you just kind of are having a good time.
Oh, yeah, there's really beautiful moments in there. There's a really great through line, I think, that's important. It's funny, I feel like right now we're getting a lot of storylines from people like our generation and a bit older who are working through some stuff that they have with their parents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's
intergenerational trauma is hot right now.
Yeah, that's the hot button, and it's very relatable to a lot of people, which says something about all of us. But yeah, I have to say it just has a lot of heart to it. It's really beautiful. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I kind of want to tell my brother to watch it. You know what I mean? Like I'm like this is great. You don't have to think too hard. It's not like I don't know, it doesn't lay it on too thick, and I think that the comedy really helps with that.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds is hilarious. They're all hilarious. The kid.
I want to call it Walker Scoble is, it's kind of like an introducing Walker Scoble. He plays the young version of Ryan Reynolds as Adam.
Yeah.
And he really, he plays the character in a way that you understand how this kid grows up to be Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
He has this similar style of comedy, but he's playing it from a kid's perspective.
Yeah.
And he's really on it. He is going toe-to-toe with Ryan Reynolds in a lot of these scenes. Mm-hmm. And the two of them have a chemistry that allows the relationship to build between them throughout the film.
Yeah.
In a way that is surprisingly fun for a movie that relies so heavily on a very young actor who has no other young actors in the film with him to kind of like stabilize. I feel like when you put a bunch of kids together, they kind of like, like you get like a It or like a Stranger Things kind of vibe where those kids kind of play off each other.
For sure,
This kid is really playing off of adults and heavy hitters. Ryan Reynolds, Mark Ruffalo, Jennifer Garner, Zoe Saldana. Yeah. 4 like titans of, modern
and
blockbusters.
Just crushing it.
And he's keeping up and he's great. And, it pulls at your heartstrings and it's just one of those movies where it reminded me of like E.T., you know what I mean? And that kind of sci-fi family movie that is about bringing people together, encouraging optimism, all those things that like I need right now.
Yeah.
I feel like I got a lot of that from this movie in a runtime that really just allows you to kind of sit there, enjoy it, and get out before, you start to look at your watch in any way.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially with a movie like this where like the comedy is good, but it's pretty consistently the same kind of humor. If the movie had gone on much longer, I feel like the humor might have started to become a little bit grating. But it's just kind of like the right amount.
Yeah, there were a couple misses for me.
For jokes? Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
there's some bad jokes in this.
Yeah, there's stuff that doesn't land.
Mm-hmm. But it's outweighed by the stuff that does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's charming. You're like, I see what you're trying to do there, and it never feels bad. It's just that some of them are.
There's a new sci-fi weapon in this movie that visually is used so well. It reminded me a lot of some of the visuals from Free Guy. Mm-hmm. And I do really like seeing director Sean Levy's way of taking science fiction action to another level in terms of playing around with visuals that are going to remind you of things you've seen before, but used in a way that you haven't seen them used. And that allows for the movie to, be very reminiscent of films that you've seen and kind of fall into some tropes and fall into some themes and fall into some, story beats that you've seen before, but really do them in a way that is visually exciting and visually new so that even the stuff that feels old, and some of this feels old, some of this feels like late 70s, early 80s, like young adults sci-fi fantasy filmmaking. Yeah. The stuff that is, old is made new again. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a lot of what is so successful about the Adam Project is that I think that young kids are going to find stuff to love in it who didn't live through that. And people like me, guys with kids, moms with kids who, love that kind of sci-fi as a kid are going to have both a nostalgic vibe that is going to draw you into the movie, as well as sort of this new agey vibe and this new age filmmaking style that's going to be really quick pace and really draw you along.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. There are a couple of spoilery things that I want to talk about it. So is there any non-spoiler things you wanted to hit on before we jumped into it?
Jennifer Garner, man. It can be tough to be the mom in a story like this that's really about kind of these male relationships. But I thought Jennifer Garner just like really gets your heartstrings going a couple times. I was really impressed with her performance. Also, Zoe Saldana in the action sequence in this movie. There is an action sequence that Zoe Saldana has in this film where I was like, that Marvel training is paying off.
Oh yeah,
she's so smooth.
Great.
She's so smooth.
So good.
And it kind of, honestly, now I really want to see Daredevil or Deadpool and Gamora in an action sequence together in the MCU.
That would be amazing. Yeah. I would love that so much.
Well, we got 13 going on 30 reprised in this.
Yeah.
Apparently it's been 18 years since 13 going on 30, which hurts. Wow. For the most part, this movie's just fun. It does what it wants to do. It does it really well. And I don't think yet, it's going to revolutionize cinema, but I think that if you want to watch a movie tonight and you're like, I kind of would like to watch a new sci-fi film that I'm going to enjoy.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
This is on that list for me.
Yeah, definitely recommend.
All right. If you like this video, like and subscribe. We're going to stick around for spoilers, but if you don't want to stick around for spoilers, go follow us around the internet. I'm at Nerdy Nightly.
I'm at Claris Polaris.
And that is going to be where we
Now,
it's spoiler time.
Spoilers. I'm warning you
Spoiler
right now.
time.
It's funny. Your like non-spoiler stuff is exactly kind of what I wanted to talk about in the spoiler section because the scene.
I don't feel like I spoiled anything.
No. You didn't spoil anything. But I wanted to take your points and really like hone in on them because the scene in the bar.
Yeah.
Was so well done. Like between Jennifer Garner and
if you
Ryan
haven't
Reynolds.
seen the movie, definitely don't listen to this and go watch the movie because the scene is.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds.
It's so good.
He shows us a different gear, you know?
Yeah. And like, and not in like a shticky way, you know? Like he really shows up for it. And Jennifer Garner, like it was so beautiful. And it was a scene where things could have felt weird really quick, like really easily, but they didn't.
And they almost veer off the scene. Like, and this is to Sean Levy's credit, right? The scene almost veers off the road a couple of times. And you know the like divots on the side of the road that make your tires make noise when you're on the highway?
Yeah.
It felt like this scene like grazed those a couple of times and Sean Levy managed to like bring it back in. And the tension of that, I think the tension of this scene kind of feeling like it could go out, you know, completely out of control right away.
Yeah.
I think that really heightens the emotion of the scene a little bit more. And I liked that aspect of it. And that scene really is the anchor of the whole film for me.
Yeah, for sure. It was beautiful. And then the other part that I wanted to talk, it's not really spoilers, I guess, but like, yeah, Zoe Saldana, her storyline, her waiting there, her faith, her like wanting to do the right thing. There's so much comedy, but there was so much there's such good emotion from everybody in a lot of these scenes, and Ryan Reynolds and Zoe Saldana are reunited and then are ripped apart again very shortly afterwards, and it was rough because I felt bad for them. You know, they really did those big ideas justice.
Yeah,
and you know what I mean, like.
And their chemistry, you buy into it right away.
Yeah. I'm like,
especially in the middle of an action sequence.
Yeah,
really well done.
I'm like, I totally get this, and you know, and she has to kind of stay behind and give them the time to try to make things right, and it was gut wrenching, and not in a way that like I'm gonna make you start like crying, but like it just gave the movie a really, really good balance.
One question about the end of this movie that I think can kind of cheapen it, and I want to get your thoughts here, is if they don't remember any of it, did it matter?
I think it's what Zoe Saldana's character says later on, like
that line feels very much there to like be like the actions of this movie matter. Because these storylines can sometimes get a little bit weird when you're like, okay, you go back to the present, you don't remember it, so like it's like it never happened.
Yeah, but also, you know, they did save the world from this horrible time travel version of it, so that matters even if they don't remember that part.
And we get the hug, the hug, and obviously Ryan Reynolds and Zoe Saldana see each other again, so obviously their relationship is starting over. But.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that I don't know. I agree. I know exactly what you mean. Like sometimes it's like, oh, well, why does it matter what happened to them while they were fixing this thing if they're not even going to remember any of it?
Yeah, why do the emotional stakes matter?
But it feels like the imprint and the idea of it was there.
Oh, 100%.
Right? And we see the like very far out ripple effects of whatever happened, right? Because it seems as though like it will never be like fully healed. That's like, I don't know, time is the concept that like we don't know. It's complicated. I don't
get into time travel with Clara. She hates it.
It hurts my brain.
Yeah.
Unless your name is David Tennant, then take me away in your TARDIS, please.
We are married. We are.
Yeah, but like if David Tennant came to take you away in the TARDIS, you would also go.
We could both go.
We could both. We could
I feel like that ends poorly for me though. Because I'm the Rory in that situation, and I'm going to end up standing outside of a tomb for 2,000 years. Spoilers for a show that's 15 years old.
I mean, yeah.
Y'all.
Anyways, yeah.
Any other spoilers you want to talk about?
No. If you want something that's, not going to be too tough to chew on, and you like sci-fi, this is a great option, and is great, I think, pretty much all ages.
Yeah.
There's not
I agree.
anything gory, really. There's nothing too explicit. You know, there's obviously like unimplied sex scene.
And also a woman gets shot straight in the chest in slow motion.
I guess, but you don't
The
see any
slow motion
blood,
bullet shot
so...
was like, I was like, that's pushing it for this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like it's okay for like most like kids, like older kids.
Yeah, I would say like 13 plus. I would give this a PG-13 for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you and I would have watched this when we were like 8, but...
Yeah, but, you know, in terms of ratings, I'm not saying that you have to be 13 to watch it. I'm just saying, like, I would rate it 13 plus.
Sure.
I wouldn't say it's PG, right? Like, I wouldn't recommend bringing a 10-year-old unless they're like me and they're, like, kind of mature and kind of an asshole.
I don't know. I would... yeah. I don't know. I feel like I felt pretty PG, but...
I don't know.
Really
They
know
start to, like, kill people, and Ryan Reynolds is like... Yeah, if you die outside of your timeline, it gets messy. And that's their way of explaining it away.
How
and I was
they,
a little
like,
bit
disappear in a puff of rainbow
they're
smoke.
just kind of killing a lot of people.
Yeah, but they're, like, they don't have faces, right? They're just, soldiers with masks on. So it's like, oh, it doesn't matter.
Makes it okay.
Yeah. And it's rainbow. Rainbow glitter, so
Rainbow sparkle.
Yeah.
If that sparkles with you, vote yes to get me to the top of the Who's the Hottest Boy list. And that is a joke for a small percentage of people. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe, do all the dang things. You stayed through the spoiler chat, so I feel like at the very least we should get a like. And do something nerdy tonight, y'all.
Bye, guys.
Bye.